And now it is my great pleasure to introduce a friend, an ally, and a hero who does a tremendous amount to advance our work. Sheila Lirio Marcelo, who we honor here today, is the founder, chairwoman, and CEO of Care.com. Sheila is a passionate and remarkable person. She built a global business on the brilliant idea that she could use technology to help families solve their care challenges. Her company finds help for parents and children, seniors and families every day, and we are enormously proud to have her with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sheila Lirio Marcelo.
Wow, Deborah, that was really inspiring. I have to tell you, I'm overwhelmed to be in such an incredible room of people who share the same passion and mission I have to help women and families. I'm also incredibly humbled because this honor from the National Partnership from Women and Families to be included with Secretary Clinton, First Lady Michelle Obama, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, and my co-honoree this afternoon, amazing past honorees who care deeply, deeply about these issues. And obviously with this great, illustrious crowd, it made me think back about my own professional journey and what got me here today. I don't know if you remember your very first job, the one that really mattered, your first interview. I remember being very, very nervous, like I'm feeling right now. And my heart was literally out to here. And why was I feeling nervous? It's because I was inexperienced. It was my first job interview, the one that mattered, but I was also hiding something in that interview. And no, it was not a criminal offense. And it wasn't an immigration issue. Though I was born and raised in the Philippines, I had a green card. And no, it wasn't Spanx, because I was still 20. What I was hiding is that I was a young mother at 21 years old. And my son, Ryan, who's 23, is here today. I was hiding the fact that I was a young mother because I was scared whether I was going to get that job. I was scared that I was going to be judged and wondered whether they thought I was going to be committed enough and whether I was going to be responsible enough with the workload that they were going to give me. So you're probably wondering, Sheila, are you going to talk about women's issues? It's appropriate for the National Partnership Luncheon Gala. It is. But no, today, I actually want to talk about something near and dear to my heart, and that is the importance of care, because it is such an important economic imperative, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So when we think about the issues of care, we think about this three-legged stool in the women's movement to create gender parity. The first is what Sheryl Sandberg is actually doing, which is great and terrific, and there are incredible women in this audience in the previous generation who have moved the women's movement, and thank you for that. And Sheryl is emphasizing building women's confidence. The second I found is Anne-Marie Slaughter is talking about institutional change and changing norms. She's actually going to have a book out pretty soon. But the third really important leg in this stool is that you can build female confidence. You can have institutional change, but if you do not invest in a care infrastructure, we're going to run into serious problems. And we're going to not be able to address gender parity in the workplace, which is a dream that we have. So there's three facts about care. The first is I'm touching on is specifically that care is not just a women's issue. We've had the president actually mention that in his State of the Union address, and that is thanks to the incredible work of many of you in this room, Valerie Jarrett, Tina Chen, and our own Avra Siegel. Thank you for what you do. The second is I'd like you to close your eyes for a second about the fact of care. Close your eyes for a second. care? Now, I'd like you to open it. And what words come out? What do we think about when we think about care? We think about our mothers, our grandmothers, our children, our caregivers, the soft side of care. How many of you thought economic imperative? Do we ever associate that with the word of care because it's so full of love and our social responsibility? But why is care an economic imperative? In this country alone, $280 billion is spent on child and senior care. It is as large as the legal industry, and we, by the way, are a litigious society. It's as large as gambling. It also happens to be the second largest budgetary item now for families, especially dual income. It is higher, daycare expenses are higher than mortgage and rent. And in the workplace, what's the key driver of absenteeism and impacts productivity? It's care. So now let's pause and talk about the workplace. And you heard Deborah and the passion in her heart. When we think about paid mandatory maternity leave, it's sad. We're right up there with Papua New Guinea of not providing it. When we think about paid paternity leave, 78 countries have it, but not the United States. When we think about sick leave, 40% in the private sector do not have access to paid sick leave. 40%. And when we think about minimum wage, 95% of our caregivers, about over 5.5 million on care.com, are women. 2/3 of minimum wage earners are women. We must provide them a living wage. We must. So at care.com, thank you. So at care.com, we don't allow anybody to post a job or offer a job unless it's more than $10 an hour. We just don't permit it. And we're educating families. So it comes down to this. You need to work to pay for high quality care, and you need care to work. This is why we're announcing today that we are supporting passing legislation like the Family Act and the Healthy Families Act. We must. And so the third fact that I want to talk about care is some of you are probably sitting here saying, this may not pertain to me. I support the national partnership, but this personally does not pertain to me. How many of you have children? How many of you have nieces and nephews? How many of you have been children? There is a senior care tsunami, silver tsunami, whatever you want to call it, that is coming. 50% of us in our 40s and 50s are already part of the sandwich generation. So let me recap. Not just a women's issue, it is an economic imperative. Let me emphasize that, an economic imperative. And it pertains to everybody. So let's say that we address attitudes, we address workplace issues, and we address legislation. But we've got a bigger problem coming. Who will really care? What do I mean by that? Women are starting to opt out. And I'm not talking about the traditional conversation of opting out of work. Women are deciding not to marry or to have children. And that's going to impact us in many ways. Some leading indicators in Taiwan, 1 out of 3 in their 30s, women are not marrying. 1 out of 5 in Japan. And we know the declining birth rates across the world in developed countries. Here's how it starts to come together. In Japan, 50 years ago, 50% of caregivers for seniors were daughter-in-laws. It is now 16%. So who is going to care for the parents of single men? They depend on us. And it's crazy. If you think about it, China, which I was just at last week, Ukraine, France, are mandating, the government is getting involved, to mandate visiting the elderly because we've got a crisis. And in Japan, in 15 years, it's estimated that 50% of seniors will live alone and 500,000 will die alone. So we've got serious issues, and you're probably wondering, morbid lunch, Sheila. No, because you can care. And there's an acronym I'm going to use. Be part of this advocacy with us. CARE, C, for caregivers. We must recruit and train caregivers. We have to make it an attractive profession. A, accountability. I'm going to do a shout out for my dear friend Lynette for Childcare Aware. Okay, I'm sorry, accountability. You know, they found that we audit nail salons in this country more than we do daycare centers. We have got to change the standards of how we think about care. R, respect. We have to professionalize caregiving. We're very proud to support the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights that we helped pass in 4 states. We've got 46 to go. Thank you to IGen and her team for the National Domestic Workers Alliance. Terrific organization. And E, for excellence. We must be able to make sure that we're measuring and we have transparent access to the cost, quality, and availability, we call it CQA at care.com, of care, so that families can make informed decisions with regards to care. And we'll be announcing something shortly with the New America Foundation with Anne-Marie Slaughter. So we're very excited about that. So now you're wondering, okay, there's a potential playbook with regards to care. Why you? Why now? You're coming to this luncheon to support this terrific organization for what they do in the National Partnership. You're also leaders in your organization. Whether they're government, nonprofit, you should all really focus on your voice. You can make a difference. Right before this, Vicki and I were just speaking. And she said some of the difficulty with leaders is they're saying this isn't our core issue that we have a platform on. So I'm not going to go out and speak and use my voice time for that. But how can you not care about your employees? How can you not use that advantage of your leadership and be a voice for what is truly important, and that is families? So 20 years from now, I'd love to be able to say that you and I don't have to hear stories like mine, that you're hiding something. Because for fear that I'm not going to get a job, for fear that I may lose a job, because I'm hiding the fact that I'm a caregiver. I don't want to be able to do that 20 years from now to share that story. But I may be hiding something else. I'll definitely be wearing Spanx. And so I want to thank you for this honor, for validating the passion in my heart to care. Thank you.